Warning, this video is intended for a mature audience. You understand? Viewer discretion is advised. Yay! Alright, this is Billy Bob Tanley here, people, and this is a request from Simon Hartford, and it was uploaded by Santa Massacre, and the name of this video is, What is the best Castlevania 20th anniversary of Angry Video Game Nerd? Fuck yeah, let's check this out. Yay. Hell yeah, man, more AVGN drugs. Yeah, look at him screaming there. Godzilla. That's an actual video game of this, right? I don't know. I know there's some Angry Video Game Nerd games out there, though. Fan games. Alright. Yeah. Alright, 20 years ago.
20 years ago, I
said
said
first.
this game sucks, and then launched into a tirade dissecting all the things that were
first
wrong
game
with
review?
Castlevania 2, Simon's Quest. Because I'm the nerd, and my mission is to warn you that lots of those old games that you look back at with sentimental longing are actually steaming piles of
I played that Ninja Turtles game way before your review came out.
The thing is, at the time, I didn't know who I was talking to. It was the summer of 2004, and YouTube didn't exist yet. So I was pretty much ranting into the thin air of sorrow that lingered over my stale room of dusty game consoles and VHS tapes. In my closet, underneath a pile of socks and underwear, was a shoebox full of old NES games. And there it was, Simon's Quest.
It was just laying
there.
there.
Action, I became somebody you now know as the fucking nerd. Back then,
you was the angry
Nintendo
nerd at
video
first.
Game nerd. I was the angry Nintendo nerd.
Yeah.
Episode 1, I didn't have a name or a face. I was just a voice. Just a voice in your head telling you to stay away from this filth. Was I even wearing my white shirt when I spoke those words? No, to tell you the truth, it was hot, so I wasn't wearing anything. Just kidding. So for this occasion, I'm going back to my roots when I was only a voice. Simon's Quest was released in North America in December '88. Using some Christmas money, I bought it from Toys R Us. I played it
Toys R Us, man.
At the time, I noticed nothing wrong. Even though I was endlessly traveling in circles, it didn't matter to me, because I was stupid. No, it was because it was a time of innocence. It was 1989,
it was probably fun back then,
when I first played it. So by the time I reviewed it, about 15 years had passed.
Oh, that's a long time.
2004 is known as the beginning of the Nerds era. For me personally, it was the end of the Neolithic nostalgia age, leaving behind my childhood a spiteful fart cloud of frustration.
Why you shit yourself?
It was like coming out of a hangover and then realizing how much you drank the night before.
Is that when you reviewed Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde?
It all seems like fun and games. Your judgment's impaired, you're making merry, but afterwards, your head is pounding with humiliating defeat as you begin assessing all the damage you caused to yourself. Honestly, with how many bad games there are, it's hard to imagine why Simon's Quest was the first one I picked.
I don't know why I didn't play this one for you guys.
That one where I had to drink a six-pack of Rolling Rock and show my face on camera for the first time. And after I revisited it so many times, I finally beat the game with the help of my future self.
Was it worth it?
I exorcised that demon, so let's move on.
Hell no.
This time, I actually want to talk about something a little more positive.
Oh,
if episode 1 was a coin, this is the flip side. If I thought Simon's Quest was the worst Castlevania game, well then, what's the best?
I don't know,
I already answered that in my Castlevania 4-part episode in 2009.
Oh,
I said my favorite was
Super
Castlevania 4. But the question now is, do I still believe that? Are any of the challengers able to claim
I never beat any of these.
Well, first of all, I'm talking about the retro era of Castlevania.
They're fucking confusing to me, but they're fun to play, sure.
In the 4-parter, I mentioned most of them. Some would consider Castlevania 3 to be better than 4 because of the multiple characters, the forking paths, or maybe just because it came before. Those are all valid reasons, and it's totally legit if you're more of a Castlevania 3 kind of person. I replayed it, and I still have to say I favor 4. The 16-bit graphics and sound
this one's highly praised
for immersing you into the spooky atmosphere. The control is so much smoother, and not to mention, you can whip in all directions.
Why did they do that to the others? What's wrong with them?
And it's not as ruthless with so much of that knockback bullshit.
Fuck that.
Some would say knockback is what makes it challenging. I
No,
say
it does
that's
not.
what makes it cheap.
It makes people pissed off. We're here to have fun, motherfuckers.
This would be the Sega Genesis's answer to the Super Nintendo and Konami's tradition of always making two separate versions during the 16-bit war.
Good game,
I can't ignore that Bloodlines gives you the choice of two different characters, and there's some very interesting level design.
What the fuck is that?
But in my opinion, it's not as interesting as the spinning room and all the things that happen in 4.
He does remind me of a Belmont. I guess he's not supposed to be, though.
And this time I don't see why not. If they would have taken one note from 4. Sure, you can whip down and also diagonally up, but only while you're jumping. In 4, you can do it from the ground. I could go down the list and say the sound effects and music aren't as good.
The Sega and the Superman, that's where it's at.
Alone is enough to settle it for me. Once again, I stand by what I said in the old video. Bloodlines is a great game, but it's not as good as 4, for me personally.
Hell yeah.
Now, it's time to talk about the one I missed entirely, Castlevania Chronicles. And it was on PlayStation. I've seen that one for sale. I have no idea how I was completely oblivious to this game's existence. Perhaps I confused it with Castlevania the Dracula X Chronicles, which was the PSP version of Rondo of Blood with updated graphics. It also included the original version of Rondo of Blood and Symphony of the Night. But anyway, the Castlevania Chronicles was originally released in 1993 on the Sharp X68000 computer exclusively in Japan. So it's no wonder I didn't know about it back then. But it was re-released on PlayStation in 2001, which is the version you're seeing right now.
Is that the soundtrack to it? That's not a bad soundtrack. I like that one. What the was that Frankenstein?
It's essentially a remake of the original Castlevania with redesigned stages. I beat it in less than 3 hours, so it's a nice confined experience. But I'm not gonna lie, I played it on the easiest difficulty setting possible.
Scary looking bosses,
If I were critiquing the original release, I would probably say it's way too fucking hard. But in the PlayStation version, there's 2 modes, original and arranged. Arranged mode has some slight enhancements with graphics and sound, but most notably, it lets you adjust the difficulty and doesn't have the knockback. Now, if you want the knockback, if you're a gaming masochist and love the insane challenge, then you still have the option, and I tip my hat to you.
How is that fun to you?
To me, fair difficulty is very
We got other things we got to do in our lives.
Too easy, but not too hard either. For me, Castlevania 4 is balanced perfectly. Chronicles isn't that remarkable since it's pretty much a remake of the first game.
I don't like the way how slow he's moving.
Is also kind of a remake in a sense, as it's basically retelling the events of the first game. It offers a lot of new stages that bear no resemblance and is much more original than Chronicles. Again, Chronicles, it doesn't have the 8-directional whipping. It's more like Bloodlines. You can whip diagonally.
And the guy has pink hair.
It's diagonally upward.
That's not cool, man.
It's downward. Pretty strange how they got parts of the controls right, but they just couldn't give us the whole damn thing. Not as good as 4, but it's a great game.
4
it gives
way
you
better.
That old school basic Castlevania experience, and it's nice to have finally played it after all those years.
That looks weird. Is that supposed to be Dracula?
The search for the true successor to Castlevania 4 led me down an uncertain road. In my 4-parter, I talked about Castlevania Dracula X on Super Nintendo.
I've seen that one.
How the whipping was a step back to the NES
now that's a Belmont.
And the difficulty was rather sadistic, especially that final battle with Dracula. I lightly brushed upon the fact that this was a remake of Rondo of Blood, which was on the PC engine in Japan. But did I actually review Rondo of Blood and include it as part of my Castlevania marathon? No, I didn't. And that was a fucking shame.
Oh, damn. So you missed out, huh? Well, there's so many Castlevanias out there, man.
PSP, there's been many ports of this game, so it's not as elusive as it once was. I finally played it all the way through on the PS4 and got 100% completion for the first time. And now I can see that Dracula X was definitely not a direct port in any way. Sure, there were some similarities, but Rondo of Blood is a very different game that, quite frankly, blows Dracula X to smithereens. The graphics and sound effects give you everything
with her?
you want.
What's her powers?
The music delivers even
Shooting
more
out
tracks
birds?
that rank up with the most classic Castlevania tunes. And the natural
like
feel
Sonic.
and satisfaction of destroying enemies
music.
could never be better. Right from that opening stage, you're whipping skeletons against a fiery background before you realize, hey, that's
Not
the first
bad.
town from Simon's Quest.
Oh, it
it's
is?
like burning down the memory of a shitty game with a kick-ass game. All around, it reminds you of the other classic Castlevanias. You have a dungeon, a clock tower, even a
Everything's out to kill you,
and
though.
amazing boss characters, both new and old.
Yeah, I'm interested in the bosses.
The enemies might be a little strange. Am I seeing this? The bats are carrying swords.
Some ever snort that
You
cocaine.
can find Maria. Once you find her, she becomes playable.
Oh,
it's a lot like
yep,
Castlevania
it's a secret.
3, where other characters join. But unfortunately, you can't switch between Richter and
that
Maria
Sector
on the fly.
from Mortal Kombat?
You have to choose one or the other on the menu, which is kind of disappointing.
No, I'm
Maria
gonna
is
stick
a
with
very
Belmont.
powerful character, and I find myself playing as her just as much, or maybe more than Richter.
Yeah, but she's not
what
the
a
main
bizarre
story.
character. Totally out of place with
Looks
the
like
franchise.
Sailor Moon or some shit.
She's going around throwing cats as one of her sub-weapons.
I thought it was birds.
And yes,
And-
you can explain
and
that
birds.
4 of her 6 sub-weapons are based on the 4 guardians of Chinese mythology.
Huh.
As if that makes throwing cats look totally normal. There's
You
also
don't
a
throw
bunch of prisoners
cats.
you can find, which are more or less Easter eggs, but none of them are playable characters.
Thank you very much, Maria.
It's nice that it gives you save slots, so unlike the earlier games, you can keep your progress.
I know that song playing in the
Also,
background.
if you accidentally get a sub-weapon that you don't want, you still have a chance to pick up your old one again. That's really nice of them. The earlier games would have
Well,
just
you
said,
deserve to
"Fuck
play
you,
something
you're
good
stuck
for
with
once."
it." On the other hand, the whipping is a major downgrade, even from
Oh.
Bloodlines and Chronicles,
That
because
sucks.
now you can't even whip diagonally at all.
Why do they
What's
keep
the
doing
deal with
this?
that? The pause feature is a little
Why?
bit dysfunctional because the music keeps playing. I don't understand the reasoning. The whole point
They're
is
on
to
drugs,
pause
man.
everything. Your mom calls you or your dog starts barking at something. You want to stop and hear what's going on.
Yeah.
So you got to pause, put down the controller, pick up the remote control, and hit mute.
That's what you
What
want
were
to
they
do.
thinking? So this is the first
I don't know.
Castlevania game on a CD, so the sound capabilities are a major advancement. But this also
What
gives
is
you
that
a
laying
field
there?
day to incorporate a lot of really weird voice acting.
Who are you, mister?
I am Richter Belmont,
What?
vampire hunter.
You proved amusing to me.
It's your fault for being so mean to everyone.
This is weird. Get that shit out of here. Yeah,
This
that
is also
sucks.
the first in the series where the anime aesthetic is so prevalent. While made in Japan, I always assumed that the earlier games were going more for a
I've never seen
Bram
this.
Stoker, Hammer Films influence, so it definitely strayed from that.
It's crumbling! Everyone!
Look at Maria's ending. If you would have shown
This
me
is
that
dumb.
screenshot, I would have never guessed that's a Castlevania game.
Yeah, it don't even remind me of that. It looks like something
The
else.
question remains, is it as good as Castlevania 4?
Probably not.
It's got to be close, right? It's linear for the most part. It's old school, how I like
not,
it.
though.
The advancements, such as the save slots, the
Looks
opportunity
fun.
to keep your old
Did-
items,
that's
the
like
secondary
items.
character, should all give it the added bonus points to overtake 4. But the stiff, horizontally restricted whip is a major setback, and for this
See, they
reason
just
alone,
can't get it
I
right.
do not like it as much.
They need to listen to the nerd.
But
He keeps
there's
asking
a
for
whole
the,
other
the
factor
whip
that
the
threw
every
my
what
decision
direction.
into further question. Something so perplexing that it nearly turned my opinion into a never-ending stalemate. Nearly
Fuck.
half the game is hidden. I thought it was kind
I
of
don't
short
like that.
until I realized there's
You gotta
all these
find
secret
everything.
levels I didn't know about. And when I say secret, I mean secret. It's
Yeah,
not
I ain't
like
got
in
time for that
Castlevania
shit.
3 where you come to a forking path and decide
Give us a
which way
straight
you wanna
path,
go.
man.
This is more like the cryptic bullshit you'd find in Castlevania 2.
He still looks like
you might have to break
Nightcrawler.
through a random wall or hit a certain spiked ball so that it falls and opens the path below, or you might have to kill a certain enemy to reveal a switch that opens a staircase.
What the
or
fuck?
most of the time, you have to take a leap of faith and drop down a pit that would normally send you to
No.
your doom.
How
How
are we
would
supposed
you
to-
ever know to do that without looking it up? You would either have
See,
to
that's
fall by
bullshit.
accident or deliberately drop down every
They need to
pit
stop
you see.
that.
And here I am trying to evaluate whether or not I think Rondo of Blood is as good as 4, And I nearly miss half the game because I didn't know about all the hidden paths. I have never been more confused with my own opinion.
That's what they want to do, confuse the shit out of you.
It's a much bigger game than I was going to give it credit for. It even has a cemetery stage, which I said I wished the series had more of.
And you didn't know about it.
The game is like one big giant Easter egg hunt.
That's stupid as fucking shit. This is the reason I criticize
Castlevania 2 so much. So what am I trying to say here? Is Rondo of Blood the best or worst? It has all the things about Castlevania that I love
hell ain't the best.
And hate. And if you have such a great game in there, why keep so much of it hidden?
They don't want you to see it. Put all that work in for nothing, you bunch of fucking morons.
Which is just plain cruel. Fuck. Fuck.
Nope.
Castlevania 4 all the way.
See, always gonna be Castlevania 4. You gotta make something special to change his mind, folks.
4 is my undefeatable champion. Symphony of the Night
always will be.
Is worth a rematch.
I guess. Now that's badass. I never did beat that one either.
Just to recap things I've said before, this is the first Castlevania that said, hey, you know what? We're going to be like Metroid from now on, except for the occasional 3D. And you'll be going through Dracula's gigantic castle for the entire duration of the game.
Hell.
No outdoor scenes, or very little. I mentioned how every time you die, you have to endure an excruciatingly long game.
Maybe they should quit making them like this now.
To send you back to the
3D
main title and load the game
like Resident Evil like graphics.
Fuck that. I mentioned how I preferred the common sense challenge of 4. There's no tricks. You can't turn into a bat and fly over shit.
Yeah, I know about Castlevania 64. That game sucked.
Go here?
That's not
Which item should I use? Am I equipped properly? Should I grind and level up? None of that. You just run through and play. In Symphony of the Night, the main character is Alucard, who mainly uses a sword, so the 8-directional whipping isn't even applicable at this point. You only play as Richter in the very first scene, and as sort of a bonus after you've beaten the entire game. In fact, you even have to beat the damn game upside down before you get that far. I don't like that part. But after so many years have passed, I found the real secret to enjoying the fuck out of Symphony of the Night. I say, beat the game, unlock Richter, and then take a break. Take a good long break and come back.
Okay.
Now, you're playing Castlevania.
That's what you gotta do, folks. All right, Liam.
First of all, I wasn't aware or had forgotten that Richter had so many moves that aren't immediately apparent.
Shit.
It still bugs me that they never brought back the 8-directional whipping, but for some reason they still included that limp twirl or whatever you want to call that. What was all of that? But with all the new moves, it kind of makes up for it.
Look at that kick.
Is just as much fun to control as Simon. First, there's that cool little backflip thing, and then there's the sliding kick.
He's trying to outstage Alucard.
I love it so much, it has become an addiction. I mean, why just walk into the next room when you can slide kick? Yeah,
you can slide kick
it never
and
gets
shit.
old. Then there's the dash attack, which is kind of neat whenever you have time to pull it off.
He's almost invincible.
Up, down, down, forward, forward, attack. What is this? Fucking Street Fighter? Down, up, jump makes you do an uppercut, which is not just a great attack, but it also serves as an infinite jump to reach higher places.
Shit, man, that's awesome.
It's extremely awkward to pull off. Any move that makes you hit down, up while you're in midair is fucked as hell. And I think there's a certain speed to it. You can't hit it too fast or too slow. I don't get it. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But you absolutely have to do it a lot because it's the only way you can reach certain spots, especially when the castle goes upside down again. Yes, it's
I hate the upside down shit with a passion.
So all those spots with Alucard where you had to turn into a bat and fly, now you have to uppercut into the air over and over like a madman.
Well, that does get annoying.
You still have your sub-weapons, but unlike Alucard, Richter doesn't have any items to equip. No inventory whatsoever.
Just his whip.
But after all, that is basically what I wanted, to return to Castlevania's simpler roots, as opposed to a more complicated RPG system. Playing as Richter is an entirely different experience, and is like a mandatory second half of Symphony of the Night.
For what I've seen here, he can kick Alucard's ass.
You can also play as Maria. Damn. Well, maybe I'll have to try more of that next time. But after fully experiencing it as Richter, I can say I definitely enjoyed it a whole lot more.
Man, you enjoyed it a lot.
Alucard
but you needed this, though.
Did I enjoy it as much as 4? In a lot of ways, yeah. I
in
think
a lot of ways.
This past playthrough
That's a
was
shot,
the closest I ever came to replacing 4 as my #1 favorite.
Nothing's ever going to replace 4, though.
All they had to do was this: make Richter the main game, and then have Alucard be the second half, or as
that's
a
the way it kind of should have been.
In that case, I would have found this contest to be a lot easier to decide.
He is the main guy who kills Dracula.
Ungodly time spent reloading whenever you die is a major strike against it.
Oh. Well, emulate it and save state.
It comes down to the simplest things. In 4, I can never forget that feeling of gratification when you land on a stairway and moonwalk, or when you latch onto something with the whip and feel that momentum build as you swing yourself back and forth.
This one's more simple, too.
How about the appealing sound of those golden platforms and treasure chests spilling coins as you walk across them?
Man, I want some treasure.
Or the sound of the bones collapsing when you hit the skeletons. It's countless little things like that.
There we all know that song.
And why is the 8-directional whipping so important? It's because it gives you the feeling of freedom. When you engage
you can hit
with
enemies
enemy,
in certain
you can
spots.
decide whether you want to strike from the air or hit them from below. Your instincts
They're never
going to
get it,
rather
though.
than trying to adapt
they don't listen to your feedback, and you're popular.
Maybe this game spoiled me.
Shit,
and
fucking
maybe you'd say
Konami, man.
the full whip directions make it too easy. How does the whip save you from all that crazy shit near the end, like when the giant sprocket's chasing you up the stage?
Oh, hell no.
It still gets pretty damn hard. The full whip
I
controls
got
just give you a fair chance
can't
to
beat
hit
this guy
anything on the
normally.
screen. You and the game are in perfect competition. No cheap shots. You're not fighting with one hand behind your back. You're in full control, so when you die,
with the
it's
whip.
on you.
Looks more like a chain.
Some things stay the same.
They should have made
and
Ghost Rider for
Castlevania
Super
4
Nintendo
is
like
still
that.
My favorite. And other things
All
vary,
right.
such as my
He looks
complex
funny there.
thoughts about Castlevania 2. Even though it pissed me off, I was still able to look back at it again
That's
and
not
realize
Crawler Man
there's
from
much I
X-Men.
appreciate. So I can change my mind a little. But one thing I can say, if it wasn't for Simon's Quest, you might not have ever known about me, and I might not have ever known
that
about
game
you.
created
Why
you.
else would I still be doing this? This battle against shitty games has been quite a ride.
Yeah, you made a ton of money from it too.
To me, have
I
gone
don't like
far
this
beyond
protagonist.
just Castlevania. This has been 20 years and counting. So
That's a long
Godspeed
time, man.
And fuck balls.
Okay, fuck balls. What? Yeah, man. 2004, that's way back. 2006, I missed that. 2006. 7, not a big fan. 7. Yep, there's some good games you played that. Well, bad ones mostly. What is this? Like your swan song? This is almost like you retiring or something. But this is just all the years you played Castlevania and shit. Oh, that's Rob the Robot. Alright then. Yep, we're gonna go all the way to 2024. Man, he don't even need to do this anymore. He's made his money and shit, but he still does it sometimes. He could retire if he really wanted to. What the fuck? He's right behind you. Oh yeah, Polybius. That's a weird game. He didn't even show it because it does something to you. Oh yeah, I think I seen that one with Home Alone boy. Oh, that's Majora's Mask. 2020. Why are you screaming in the water? 2021. A shark. Man, this is kind of a long scene. Alright, get to 2022. What's taking so long to get to that one? Alright, here's 2022. As the years are... I saw that. What the fuck? Shit. I don't think I've seen that before. Who's that? Oh, never mind. AVGN, no. Thanks for watching all these years. So there you go, everyone. If y'all want to watch the original video, the link is in the description. Go check it out and shit. And I'm getting the fuck out here, so yeah. My name is Billy Bob Tanley, and I approve this message.